Thank you so much, Pavel. And then the second expert, Grete Hoversrud, professor from University of Nordland, Norway. Please, Grete.
Thank you. Yes, I'm going to problematize a little bit the holistic perspective. It has been 10 years since we had the Arctic Climate Impact Assessment, where we asked whether people in the Arctic are vulnerable to climate change, and we expected people in the Arctic to be vulnerable to climate change. We have learned a lot since then. We know that there's a great diversity in human activities in the Arctic, but that change in a way unifies the multiple Arctics, because there's not just one Arctic. Climate change is not the only driver, but interacts with societal changes, and this is what we're trying to capture when we think about resilience. Those challenges and opportunities that are coming from different drivers, including climate, require development of adaptation strategies and an unleashing of adaptive capacity, because we know that there's great adaptive capacity in the Arctic, but is it a myth that it is high? I will not go through the definition of adaptive capacity in the interest of time, but it is important to remember what it is when we start to measure adaptive capacity. And there's a potentially high adaptive capacity in the Arctic. But what determines this? And that's what the crux is, and that's where the different contexts come in when we do a holistic assessment. We need access to resources, both human and economic, across the board. There's great variability and variation between and within nations. We need information, skill, and connectivity in the smallest communities and the greatest urban areas. Technology and infrastructure, equity, transfer of local and traditional knowledge, and I'm rushing through this because I know Lassie would like to have a discussion. Apologize for that. But livelihood flexibility is another determinant of adaptive capacity. Well-being, cultural identity, and fate control are others, very intangible perhaps aspects, and governance and enabling institutions. This is a bundle, and it's not exhaustive, but this shapes adaptive capacity. So whose resilience then are we talking about? When we know that it varies, we know that these determinants of adaptive capacity varies, and it hinges on how adaptive capacity is activated. And I would have liked to talk for 10 minutes about that, but I will leave the question, whose resilience are we talking about? 2 minutes.